All right, Future Left podcast here. Visit us at futureleft.com. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at at future_left. Ignore what I said before. I'm here as always with Casey Rogers. How you doing, Casey?
What it do?
Just don't say that. Come on. And we're also here with Michael Bufano from Cairo. How you doing, Mike?
Freaking beautiful.
I don't believe you. But moving on. But today we're going to be talking about waste. We got a little mini episode for you. And basically, there's been a few stories in the news. Lately, there's been a biodegradable and edible can ring. So when you buy a sixer at the old liquor store, and it comes in the plastic rings, they get thrown in the ocean, and it chokes some poor turtle to death, and they made it to where these rings are biodegradable and edible. Isn't that fascinating? Also, there's another edible story in the news lately. Spoons in India. Instead of plastic spoons, which are made out of plastic, they made these out of some such... It's actually by a company called Bakeys. It's called Bakeys, which, you'd think they'd... Yeah. Anyway, they bake a damn spoon, and then they sell it to people. They look. Don't laugh at their business model, but they sell it to people. They're selling 1.5 million spoons these days, edible spoons, basically. And of course, if you don't eat them, if they're edible, it's biodegradable. It's all good, yay. But
hey,
they're
Adam,
trying to get these spoons.
Say the name of the woman whose idea these spoons were.
Say it.
Read it. Say the name.
I don't. God, no. I first of all, I closed the window and I didn't write that name down because I was like, "There's no way in hell I'm gonna say that name." It was like Narayana, piece of something.
Oh my God,
Adam, that goes against our policies of inclusion here at the Future Left.
Shut up.
Yeah, Adam.
But
okay, sorry. Continue from where you left off.
But they're trying to get these spoons to they're trying to get these spoons to be as cheap as plastic so people will buy them, maybe eat a fucking spoon, and not throw it in a landfill.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to a broader discussion of waste, but what do you guys think about this edible solution to human waste?
I would have to see a study if this is feasible. I mean, could you mass produce something like this? Plastic is so incredibly cheap to produce.
Yeah.
It also depends mostly on fossil fuels, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, but it's incredibly cheap in comparison. So I just have to see the numbers. I don't know enough about it. I read the article.
Yeah, Casey, do you want to jump in here with any?
Yeah, one question I have is that especially in rural areas in India, cutlery is not often used anyway. Most people eat with their hands. So my wonder would be like, aren't they going to distribute these, and the people who get them are just going to go, I don't use these anyway, and then they're going to end up in a landfill. I guess they're biodegradable, but
they're going to be like, oh, he put some butter on this, you can fucking eat it.
Exactly. It's just going to be food to a lot of people. It's not going to be a utensil.
In a fryer.
Have you tried the latest flavor of this fucking spoon? But
yeah,
no,
Cool Ranch.
No, my problem with this is it's all about it has nothing to do with changing your behavior, and in my mind, that's what we need in terms of sustainability. It's great that you have plastic rings on cans that animals can eat, but it wouldn't it be great if you just didn't throw a bunch of shit into the ocean?
Right, they're sort of assuming that people listen. People are gonna litter. We just have to change industry around that.
Yeah, Boy, that made me mad. I mean, it's a great idea. I'm glad that people are trying to think through solutions here. But that's how it struck me. I was just like, good God. Yeah. Why are we trying to come up with a sustainable way for people to throw all their garbage into the ocean or into a landfill? I'm like, just...
It's like it's a watch that powers itself by when you beat children. It's a watch that powers itself when you beat children.
Yeah, exactly.
Adam, you spent a couple
energy.
years living in the Middle East.
Yeah,
and you still retain that optimism about humanity that we can. Awesome,
really
man.
Do.
I mean, it's naive and idealistic, but it's.
Adam, they put in India in some of the larger cities they put public urinals so that men would stop relieving themselves publicly. Yeah. When I was in India, I saw a man leaning on one of those, standing outside of it, peeing.
That's because it was occupied, Casey. Okay. But like I said, my problem is about this doesn't change your behaviors. We also read an article in The Guardian about, quote, the zero waste solution. This was an article from, I believe, February of this year, 2016, in The Guardian. It was just a little factoid from the article. The EPA says 40% of U.S. greenhouse gas comes from hauling, making, using, and throwing away food and stuff, which I was like, yeah, you're losing me. Now you're losing me.
It doesn't say foodstuffs. No. It says from throwing away stuff and food.
It's stuff and food. What kind of writing is this? You know.
But it's incredible just how much we eat on a daily basis and how much we throw out. And you think you have problems with famine in places like Somalia and how much we waste. But I believe it. Having worked at restaurants, just how much people just don't eat.
Yeah. There's actually a great.
It's weird that there's health code laws. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, it's interesting you bring that up. There's actually a really great documentary about food waste that I watched on Amazon recently that I do recommend. But I'm forgetting the name of it now, so I can't really recommend it all that much. But it's good. But the saddest scene of the movie, you'll relate to this, Mike. This guy goes to some Save-A-Lot or some bullshit. But he goes out back and there's a dumpster full of perfectly good hummus, like in the little plastic container.
Yeah.
Not just hummus, dumped into a.
That's a crime, man.
I know. Yeah, but it was. Yeah, I was like, my God.
It's weird how there's so many health laws in the United States that require restaurants to throw away perfectly healthy food. Like, you can't give it away. It's considered unsanitary to give away perfectly good food.
Yeah.
And I don't get that. It's like, I imagine a homeless guy sitting there watching you through a glass window as you throw away food that he could be eating.
Yeah. But I mean, the larger point of the article, the average American has 1,048 pounds of trash per year. So there's this zero waste solution, which is like I believe it's a website, also a book by Catherine Kellogg, who has been able to reduce her waste through individual actions to about a pound a year. Now, it's kind of ironic. She was talking in the article. People give her a lot of shit because it's called the zero waste solution, but she has a pound of waste a year. But that just proves that people are awful.
Sure.
Else.
The article also mentioned that she's had family members go to her house and walk around pointing out plastic things in her home to her. So family is also bad. Here at Future Left, that's one of our main messages.
Yeah. But a lot of this is about her changing her individual behavior, but it seems quite onerous on a person. Maybe I'm wrong, but she goes to a market, she transfers like strawberries from a plastic container into a glass jar, and then she asks the person, "Are you going to reuse the plastic container?" They say yes. She hopes for the best, and you get less trash, allegedly. And I know, not allegedly, really. I mean, I believe it, but again, like. I feel like there's only so much an individual can do. I feel like most people are not as, and I include myself here. I mean, I try to be conscious of all of this, but I feel like most people don't have the bandwidth to devote their lives to such a change. I feel like there has to be policies in place to help us make the decisions easier. You know what I mean?
I agree, because Catherine Kellogg is obviously a person who has made her life about this one particular issue. But when you think about
hats off to her. I don't mean to.
Sure, obvious. No, of course. When you think of all the ethical issues that people should be devoting themselves to, in my opinion, it's very difficult for people to devote themselves to not creating waste, to not buying products that are made on under unethical work standards, to all these things. I agree that I don't know how we could leave it all up to individual motivation.
Yeah, Mike, what were your thoughts on the zero waste stuff?
Well, I think obviously government enforcing recycling is definitely one of the things that could change the situation. Being forced to put different bins, being fined if you put plastic bottles or glass bottles with the rest of your garbage. I could imagine that in the future as something being, a kind of a solution. Of course, there'd be a ton of pushback, right? And, you'd hear the talk about the nanny state and how the government's trying to
exactly.
life and, all that stuff.
First of all, I don't really care what the right thinks, but my problem with it is that such a tax would be kind of regressive. It would hurt poor people more, right? But I think the way that you make it into a progressive tax, and this was actually just popping into my head now, it was an argument made by ThinkProgress about the carbon tax, which also would impact poor people. Is what you do is you take the money that you get from this tax and you earmark it for things that like building I don't know, something that would benefit poor people. So that's how you make it a progressive tax. Whether that's
I think we should describe why it affects poor people negatively, and that's because being able to govern your waste and being able to govern exactly what you take in and exactly what you put out is a luxury that people with a certain amount of means have. Isn't that right?
I think, yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
But I mean, whether you're poor or rich, right? I mean, it's just a matter of, okay, you put the plastic in the plastic bin, the glass in the glass bin, and that's it.
But does the poor guy always have the plastic bin and the glass bin and the, is the poor guy set up for these things?
Well, like I'll tell you, in DC we have a SingleStream Recycling, so all of your glass, plastic, cardboard, it goes into the blue bin, and then the other trash goes into the green bin. It's pretty straightforward. So it isn't like, and I think there is criticism that I'm actually not up to speed on about SingleStream Recycling.
Well, I was thinking globally. Because obviously in America we have these initiatives for recycling, but globally the global poor.
Well, no, I was talking. It'd be regressive in terms of the United States.
Okay.
So I mean, first of all, more. There's just more poor people, and if there's just like a $10 fine every time someone saw a big thing of glass or plastic something, then that most of that money would come from poor people. Most of that tax would come from poor people just by nature of math. And I do agree, like you said, poor people don't have the luxury. If you're working two jobs, the last thing you want is government come around telling you, hey, there's a piece of glass in the green thing that should be in the blue thing. Here, give me $10. You know what I mean?
Right, and you're also going to be taking things that you could get regardless of the materials they're made out of. Like if something that's made out of plastic is less expensive than something made out of biodegradable materials,
exactly.
you're going to be defaulting to what's affordable.
Like in the article, Kathleen Kellogg was like, I get like a jar of goat cheese from a local farm, and it comes in a reusable glass jar. So I just reuse the glass jar. That's great. That sounds expensive. You know what I mean? Those types of transition it's a little bit more outside the reach of people that are in poverty.
Well, we're going to need a replacement for a lot of our plastics because most people might not know this, but it's refined oil products that make most of your plastics, and oil one day is going to run out.
I've heard that.
So it's just, how are we going to then deal with, so it's not just a crisis of not having enough energy, but, so many of the things are plastic bags or plastic bottles or Tupperware or, the sides of buildings, construction equipment. So much is made out of plastic and
rubbers.
What do you do when this stuff runs out? We're going to have to find, there are biological plastics, there's other ways.
Mike. Adam said rubbers.
Rubbers. Yes. Our condoms are also made of plastics. What are we going to use for that then? After why do they
call them rubbers?
Around our
I think we should start making edible condoms. I think that's the next step.
That is a wonderful idea.
It's a great idea. You were a little too close to the mic.
They still have the semen inside.
I needed to be.
So, what would it taste like with like a flavored semen?
You tell me, Mike.
Yeah, Mike. You tell me and Adam. What does it taste? What does it taste like, Mike?
Yeah, Mike's too classy. Anyway,
he's a classy girl.
Classy. Anyway, but like another issue is about generally the supply chain of waste. So there was another article recently in Grist about e-waste, which is what happens to your electronics once you throw them out, once you donate them to Goodwill or whatever. Well, they often end up going overseas into places where there is no worker regulation to protect them from the toxic chemicals that are in all this stuff. Ends up in the landfill, basically destroying someone else's environment. So there are, in my mind, there are a lot of ways that need to be tackled and to deal with this waste problem. Because obviously sending our waste to Hong Kong, the outskirts of Hong Kong is what happened in this documentary. That's not a sustainable solution. I mean, it does nothing for the global fight against waste and emissions and stuff like that. So what did you guys think of this kind of supply chain issue?
This is another big reason why we need to get off of plastics, right? Because plastics consist of complex, I'm going to drop a nerd bomb here again, consist
Lord,
of
all these bombs.
like molecules, okay, and it takes a long time for those to break down. So obviously that's not a solution because we live on this big blue ball here, floating around the sun,
Blue
and
balls.
simply shipping it to Hong Kong, that's not a solution at all. If anything, that's just a further waste of money, right? Because you're burning fossil fuels to do that. So we're going to have to start using biodegradable material in order to create something that's more sustainable.
What we need is
we
need to make laptops that you can eat.
Well,
You
the
just throw
buttons
'em
taste like cherries.
You can just throw them into the ocean when you're done.
No, okay, no. Listen. So yeah, and then if we threw all of our edible stuff into the ocean would still be polluted. So just throwing edible stuff into the ocean,
We'd have some
just a whole bunch of bread in the ocean.
We need everything that's we need just
All of the
everything
fish are getting
edible.
diabetes.
Yeah.
No, but something we do here in Dallas, and I've said this before, all the progressive stuff comes out of Texas. What do you guys think about what we do here, where we take biodegradable materials and non-biodegradable materials and sort of shred them up and bury them under earth, that then gets grass planted in it, and it becomes like a new part of the landscape. So I know that the plastic will be underground, and it'll have its thousands of years or whatever to go away.
This is the old George Carlin joke, what is the reason for humanity's existence? Why are we here? It's to make plastic so that the earth can absorb it, then kill us off. Would the earth be affected if it's just the earth plus plastic? I don't.
I have no idea about this program, Casey. I haven't done the reading, I don't know if Mike has a perspective on whether this is good or not for the environment.
Well, I was just trying to see if
know.
anyone knew about it, because it's not just freestanding garbage. It's been sodded over, and there's like, if you were there, you wouldn't know. Like in 100 years, I know that they put pipes into the ground to vent off the methane gas that is created by the biodegrading material, so the earth doesn't just crack. But you see these giant hills, and they're basically full of non-biodegradable materials, but they have grass. They're hidden. You could potentially, I guess, in the future use them for, more sustainable things. It's an area of
just
land
be like
now.
a hill in the future.
We should do
yeah.
more. I mean, I'd love to do more reading on that. You should send me the article. Just put that in an email and send it to me, okay? But
okay.
I can't comment on it. I honestly, it sounds suspicious. Like maybe I'm wrong.
It sounds. I think it sounds suspicious because they're literally just burying the problem.
Yeah,
well, it's Dallas. I mean, it's Texas.
Sure.
Comes out of that state is suspicious.
We've got a few progressive things that we're working on. Did you hear how high my voice went?
My God. Yeah.
Sincerity is what that is.
And now for my final thought. So I think that when we're talking about addressing waste, I'm very skeptical of the edible solution. It's nice, and I think more things should be biodegradable. That's fine, but we shouldn't try to build products to where we can throw them in the ocean. I think that's madness.
Yeah.
I appreciate these individual efforts to get people like using less waste, and I do recommend checking out Catherine Kellogg's book about the zero waste solution. But I would like to see more policy that helps people do these things, and that kind of frankly mandates manufacturers and sellers to do their part in eliminating waste and helping enable a social ecology or an economic system where recycling is a lot easier and less onerous. Of course, we should improve the supply chain. It's silly that we're dumping a bunch of iPhones into a landfill in Hong Kong and thinking that we're lowering our carbon footprint. We're not. But gentlemen, your final thoughts on all of this?
I second everything that you said there, and
as well you should.
As well as I should, and I think the two big crises we're going to have is one is with energy, right? Where we're going to get our energy from the future, but there are a lot of materials that we have for our everyday products. How are we going to replace plastics in the future? This is also something to kind of think about. What will be the alternatives?
Lest we forget, 40% of greenhouse gas emissions comes from stuff and food.
Stuff. It's the stuff I'm most worried about.
I thought they came from cow farts. I thought that was the.
Don't get me started.
Michael, you come from
in the future. We're not gonna have. We won't fart. Is this like?
Michael, you come from cow farts, okay?
Oh, my.
Sorry. No.
All right, Casey's final thought.
Yeah, I think it's mind-boggling and very difficult for us to imagine how infused plastic is with our everyday lives. Like Mike mentioned earlier, and like several, like all of us, I think, have touched upon at some point. It's literally everywhere, and it's going to cause a huge, decades-long process of replacing plastics with other materials. Now, are we going to replace them? Are we going to go edible? Probably not. That's probably going to be a very, like, I don't want people replacing my ceiling fan blades with edible ceiling fan blades.
Because I'd come over and eat that ceiling fan.
And I'd come home and there'd be a bite, and I'd be standing on the table, and he'd put jam on my ceiling fan blades. No, but so I guess the future will be ceiling fan blades made out of recycled ceiling fan blades, and I'm going to call this the Ceiling Fan Blade Initiative. And but no, I agree with everything Adam said, and yeah, it's just going to be this is something we're going to have to do.
Yeah.
This is not an if.
We should end every podcast with everyone else saying, "I agree with what Adam said 100%." We should definitely.
Adam, just soak it in.
Yeah.
Soak it in.
Your
Your
there's a
moment.
mom joke. Hold on, mom joke.
I know. No, I was ignoring the mom joke. But in any event, thanks for joining us today on the Featured Left podcast. I'm Adam Simpson saying bye. Say bye, Casey, and say bye, Mike.